The last person I expected to catch on my security camera was my husband's mother. What she did after walking into our house nearly destroyed my marriage. Before I had proof, I spent weeks wondering if I was losing my mind. It started with a coffee mug. I had left it beside the kitchen sink before work. It was white with a small crack near the handle. When I came home, the sink was empty, the counters were shining, and the mug was upside down inside the cabinet. That might not sound strange. My husband Ryan certainly didn't think it was. "Maybe you put it away," he said. "I didn't." "You were rushing this morning." "I remember leaving it there." He kissed my forehead. "You've been working too much." I wanted to let it go. A misplaced mug wasn't worth an argument. But the next day, the dish towel hanging from the oven disappeared. I found it folded inside the laundry room. Then a framed photo moved from our living room to the bedroom. 3 days later, every can in our pantry had been arranged by size. Ryan stared at the shelves and laughed. "Maybe we have a very organized burglar." "I'm serious." "So am I. Nothing is missing." "That's not the point." He checked the front door, then the back one. "Both locks work, the windows are closed." "Then why does this keep happening?" He had no answer, but I could tell he didn't think the question mattered. His mother, Linda, came over that Sunday. She arrived carrying a pie and smiling like she always did. Linda was the kind of woman everyone loved immediately. She remembered birthdays, brought food when someone was sick, and made every conversation sound warm and personal. People constantly told me how lucky I was to have her. They never heard the comments she saved for moments when Ryan left the room. That afternoon, he went into the garage to get folding chairs. Linda watched him leave, then glanced toward the kitchen. "I see you finally organized the pantry." My stomach tightened. I hadn't told her. "What did you say?" "The pantry." She pointed toward it. "It looks much better now." I stared at her. "How do you know what it looks like?" Linda paused for less than a second. "You showed me." "No, I didn't." "I'm sure you did. I haven't opened that pantry in front of you for weeks." Her smile became more careful. "Well, maybe Ryan mentioned it." Ryan walked back in, carrying the chairs. "Mentioned what?" "Your pantry," Linda said. He frowned. "I don't remember saying anything." Linda laughed softly. "Then I must be confused. Getting older is so much fun." She touched my arm as she passed me. "You'll understand someday." After she left, I told Ryan exactly what happened. He leaned against the counter. "She probably saw it during her last visit. It wasn't organized then. Maybe she guessed." "She guessed that someone rearranged our food?" "She made one comment, Emily." "She knew." His expression changed. "What are you accusing her of?" "I don't know yet." "That's the problem. I'm telling you that things are moving inside our house. And I'm saying there's probably a normal explanation." "Why are you so sure?" "Because the other explanation is that my mother is breaking into our house to organize canned food." When he said it that way, I sounded ridiculous. That was what made the situation so frustrating. Every incident was small enough to explain away. A week later, one of my necklaces disappeared. It wasn't expensive, but it had belonged to my grandmother. I searched the bedroom, bathroom, car, and every pocket in my closet. Ryan helped me move the dresser and check underneath the bed. For once, he took the situation seriously. "Could it have fallen behind the jewelry box?" he asked. "I already checked." He emptied the drawer himself. Nothing. The next morning, I opened the jewelry box again. The necklace was lying directly on top. I called Ryan upstairs. "That was not there yesterday." He picked it up and examined it. "I emptied this box." "So did I." He stared at the necklace longer than I expected. Then he said, "Maybe it was caught inside the lining." "It was lying on top." "I know." For 1 second, I thought he finally believed me. Then he placed it back. "I just don't know what this means." "It means someone moved it. Or we both missed it." "That's not possible." He looked away. "I believe that you're upset." "That isn't the same as believing me." He didn't answer. At work, I started documenting everything. Monday, pantry rearranged. Wednesday, photo moved. Friday, necklace missing, then returned. The list looked foolish when I read it back. Still, I kept adding to it. The following Thursday, I came home during lunch because I had forgotten a folder. As soon as I pulled into the driveway, I saw the curtains in the front room move. I sat in my car and stared at the window. Nothing happened. Maybe the air conditioner had turned on. Maybe I had imagined it. I unlocked the front door and stepped inside. The house smelled like Linda's perfume. It was a soft floral scent she wore so often that Ryan could recognize it from across a room. "Hello?" No answer. The living room was empty. So was the kitchen. Then I heard a drawer close upstairs. My heart began pounding. I grabbed the heavy flashlight near the coat rack and slowly climbed the stairs. Who's there? Silence. Our bedroom door was open. I always closed it before leaving. I stepped inside. Nobody was there. The window was locked. The closet was empty. But the top drawer of my dresser was slightly open. That was where I kept our passports, tax papers, and insurance documents. Everything appeared normal at first. Then I noticed my passport. I always kept it beneath Ryan's with the cover facing upward. Now it was on top, turned over. Someone had touched it. I called Ryan. "You need to come home." "What happened?" "Someone was inside the house." There was a pause. "Did you see anyone?" "No, but I heard them upstairs. Someone went through the dresser." "Call the police." "They're already gone." "Call them anyway. I'm leaving now." 2 officers arrived 20 minutes later. They checked every room, window, and door. There were no signs of forced entry. 1 officer stood beside the front door. "Does anyone else have a key?" "My husband." "Anybody else?" I thought about Linda. Ryan had given her a spare key when we went on vacation almost 2 years earlier. "My mother-in-law used to." "Does she still have it?" "I don't know." Ryan arrived before the officers left. When I mentioned the key, he shook his head. "Mom gave it back." "Did you personally see her return it?" "I'm almost certain." "That isn't an answer." The officer glanced between us. "You should confirm who has access and consider changing the locks." After they left, Ryan called Linda. He didn't put her on speaker, but I watched his expression. At first, he sounded casual. Then he frowned. "What do you mean you don't remember?" He walked into the kitchen. "No, Mom, I'm not accusing you. Emily thinks someone entered the house." Linda's voice rose through the phone. Ryan lowered his. "I understand. I'll call you later." He ended the call. "Well?" I asked. "She says she returned it." "Does she remember when?" "No. So, she might still have it." "She says she doesn't." "She also knew what our pantry looked like." Ryan rubbed the back of his neck. "You're connecting things that might not be connected." "Someone was in our bedroom." "You didn't see anyone." I stared at him. "You think I'm making this up?" "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." That evening, I ordered a small indoor security camera. I didn't tell Ryan. Part of me felt guilty, but another part knew that if I warned him, he might mention it to Linda. Not because he wanted to help her, he simply still believed the whole thing was a misunderstanding. The camera arrived 2 days later. I placed it on a bookshelf facing the front hallway. It looked like a small black speaker. For 3 days, nothing happened. On the 4th day, the app sent me a notification while I was at work. Device disconnected. I tried reconnecting remotely. Nothing. When I got home, the camera was still sitting on the shelf. Its cable had been unplugged. Ryan walked in a few minutes later. "What's that?" "A camera." "You installed a camera without telling me?" "Someone unplugged it." He checked the cord and the wall socket himself. "It couldn't have fallen out," he admitted. "Exactly." His eyes moved toward the front door. "Who knew it was here?" "Only me." He was quiet. Then his expression hardened. "You still think my mother did this?" "I think someone entered our house and found a camera they weren't supposed to know about." "That doesn't prove it was her." "No, but it proves I'm not imagining everything." He walked away without answering. The next morning, I found muddy footprints beneath the living room window. They led from the hallway toward the kitchen and stopped near the back door. The ground outside was dry. There was no mud anywhere around our yard. I photographed every print. Then our neighbor, Sarah, waved from her driveway. "Everything okay?" she asked. I hesitated. "Have you seen anyone around our house lately?" She looked confused. "Besides your mother-in-law?" My entire body went still. "What do you mean?" Sarah lowered her voice. "I assumed she was house-sitting again." "Again?" "She's been coming by while you're both at work. Not every day, but enough that I noticed." "When was the last time?" She thought for a moment. "Yesterday afternoon." That was the day the camera had been unplugged. Sarah studied my face. "Emily, does she have a key?" I didn't answer. Instead, I turned around and walked back into the house. My heart was pounding. I opened the small cabinet beside the front door. Ryan's car key. Garage key. Then my eyes moved to the 3rd hook. The spare key was gone.